Hi everyone, welcome back to Sports Kathi. I'm Rohit, and with me we have Vaishakh, Bhanu, and Karan. So let's quickly jump into today's topic. That is India tour of Australia. So the tour kicks off on the 27th with the ODI leg. Now there have been a lot of comments that the ODI leg is kind of irrelevant and that it's just a warm up to the showcase event, which is the Test series. Now it is somewhat true, given that there is no big ODI tournament and coming up in near future, and also a three-match ODI series now looks slightly out of place. But then I want to mention about something that is the World Super League, which has just kicked off in July this year. So, firstly, what exactly is World Super League, and how is this tournament relevant? To understand how the Super League will impact the World Cup qualification for 2023, I put up a simple flowchart. As you can see, the 12 test playing nations and Netherlands are part of the Super League. The top 7 teams and India as a host will qualify directly to the World Cup. So that is given. India is already a part of the World Cup, so because we are the host. The bottom 5 from this Super League will go into the World Cup qualifier. And the World Cup qualifier will have these 5 teams plus 3 teams from League 2 and 2 other teams from playoffs. Okay, so that's what the chart explains here. Now, an interesting thing when I was actually looking at this chart was that I was actually surprised that Netherlands is there in the Super League, and how did they make into it? And that's because when I was digging into it, I found that they were the winners of the 2015 to 17 ICC World Cricket League Championship, and that is why they have directly been qualified. Anyway, this detailed schedule is available on all prominent websites, so do check it out. So this is why this tournament is not completely irrelevant, and also we get to test, I feel, our fringe players also. So I feel this tournament has something in stake, at least for Australia from a qualification to World Cup point of view, and also from Indian point of view, we can test our fringe players who are not exactly the first team players, but who can become first team players going into the next World Cup, which is in 2023. And I think we can also expect a lot of rotation, especially in the fast bowling department. I did hear about the captains and the coaches talking about fast bowlers getting a bit of rest. So we can see what the rotation will be. Anyways, I give it off to Vaishakh, who will explain in detail what the squad will be and how the squad will be managed in the long tour of Australia.
Let me start from the Australian squad. You know how Australians are preparing for this. As you said, they have 2 new debutants, Cameron Green and Daniel Sams in the squad. And there are also reports that suggest the main Australian players, which is Stephen Smith, David Warner, Pat Cummins, and Josh Hazlewood. They might not play all the matches for ODIs because they are more important for the test matches. So they will be rested accordingly. So if you look at that, same with the Indian squad, it would be important for us to rest, not much for Virat Kohli because he might be leaving after the first test. But our other players like Jaspreet Bumrah or Mohammad Shami might need to be rotated a bit. So will be Mayank Agarwal, who also is there in the test squad as well. And Kuldeep Yadav and KL Rahul is interesting. They're important for the ODI tournament because they will be starting, but they might not start with the test matches, and they are there in the test squad. So it is important that they get some match practices by the time they come to play the test matches. There are debutants in the Indian squad. 2 important players who are making debut in the test squad will be Shubman Gill and Navdeep Saini. And it is important that they actually get some playing time in the ODI squad, especially with this rotation. And I hope they do get accustomed with the Australian conditions, especially, after playing this IPL and everything, going to the Australian conditions and playing will be tough. So it is important that these players do get some match practices. Let's look at which matches will be played. Bhanu, can you explain how the tournament will proceed?
Like Rohit explained, the series this time will kick off with one-day internationals followed by T20s. The Indian team has already reached Australia and is quarantining in Sydney, which is going to be home to the first 2 one-day internationals, the Sydney Cricket Ground. Small Sydney is almost like second home to India in Australia, with a large number of Indians there. Historically, we have had a lot of support for our teams when we go and play games there. So I think that will be a great boost of confidence just to have local fans supporting after a long time. I don't think the Indian team has had fans cheering for them in almost about a year due to coronavirus. So that will be a great sight to watch, to see the Indian fans come out with the tricolor. I can't wait to see that. Another small piece of trivia is that Sydney was the only ground where India lost its one international in the last time we went in 2018. We lost the first game in Sydney and went on to win the next two in Adelaide and Melbourne. So I hope we can reverse that trend, especially because we have two games. So winning one of them is necessary to stay in the competition when we go to Canberra. Canberra, which is going to be the third and the last ODI of the series, is in a ground called Manuka Oval. But the Manuka Oval hasn't been a very famous ground in the list of grounds Australia can boast about. But definitely will be a good challenge for India to go there and test how they can adapt to a new playing condition after Sydney. Having spent a lot of time in Sydney, that will be the first real test for the Indian players, from the bowlers and the batsmen, to see how they can perform on a new pitch. Also, we must remember that the Manuka Oval has hosted just one T20, one international T20 between Australia and Pakistan last year. So it will be a great pitch to also then see how the players adapt and perform in the T20 opening right after the one-day series. All in all, I am expecting competitive pitches in both in Sydney and in Manuka Oval, hoping that there is something in it for the bowlers early on, and the batsmen have to adapt, use their skill, and go on to make good runs after settling down. The series will shape up. I'll hand it over to Karan, who will walk us through some of the key battles all of us can expect.
Thanks, Bhanu. So, as we all know, we'll be watching ODI cricket after a long time, and India plays Australia. There's always a lot of people watching those particular matches. Although the details have been mentioned properly by Rohit, Vaishakh, and Bhanu. With respect to key battles, I feel that there are some players involved in both the teams that predominantly run the show. When I say run the show, these are the cornerstones for both these teams, and these guys will predominantly dictate how the game goes about. So the first key battle, in my opinion, would be David Warner versus Mohammad Shami. Both had a fabulous IPL. David Warner had scored about 500 plus runs. Shami had taken about 18, 19 around wickets around those numbers. So both had a fabulous IPL. Now coming from a good form, Mohammad Shami will be opening the bowling for India. David Warner will be opening the batting for India, and that will be a good contest to watch on those swinging conditions. And if there are swinging conditions, let's see how Shami can go about bowling to David Warner and how David Warner can face Shami. The other key battle, I think, will be between Steven Smith and Jaspreet Bumrah. Now, even though Steven Smith is not the captain of the Australian team, he is the leader of their pack. As you said, Virat Kohli gets that aggression into the Indian team. I feel that Steven Smith, with his mild or his silent aggression, he runs that through the Australian team, and he's a critical part of the Australian team as well. And Jaspreet Bumrah is just crucial for us. He was, I think, the second highest wicket taker in IPL. Smith had a very bad IPL, let's just not get there. But Jaspreet Bumrah is in good form, and Smith will predominantly come at number 4 for the Australian team. And Jaspreet Bumrah might open the bowling for India, or he might bowl those death overs. So that battle will be very crucial, because there will be a lot of overs which Steven Smith will face and Bumrah will bowl. That will be a very good key battle to focus on. The third key battle I want to focus on is between Virat Kohli and Adam Zampa. The one good thing about this key battle is that both of them play for RCB, and both of RCB is the team in the IPL. So they will know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And as Kohli comes to bat at 3 and 4, he will be facing those middle overs. And Zampa being the only sure shot starting spinner in the Australian 11, I feel that will be a very good battle to go about, because that will dictate how the runs, how India scores its runs in the middle overs. And Kohli hasn't scored a century for over a year now. So I think it's about time that he does something in those in the ODI series, because he's anyways going back after the first test match due to the paternity leave. So it's very important for Kohli to have a good ODI and T20 series. And the fourth key battle would be between Shikhar Dhawan and Mitchell Starc. I feel that Rohit can share some more light on that.
Yeah, hi Karan. So yes, I was actually digging up some numbers for checking whatever Shikhar Dhawan versus Mitchell Starc was. And to be fair, Shikhar Dhawan actually has a very impressive batting stats against Australia, specifically against Australia, and that's important to know, because we know about Kohli scoring all the centuries against Australia and Rohit Sharma scoring the centuries against Australia, but Shikhar Dhawan, his numbers are he has 45 average at 400s against Australia, and now people might say it's, most of them must have come in India. But when I dig deeper and when I checked what has actually happened uh, in Australia, he in 18 innings there in Australia, he has actually managed to score uh, in 18 innings, he has scored 200s and 350s, and an average of 38 and a strike rate of 88, which is pretty commendable for a batsman opening there in Australian conditions. So I would say those numbers back it up. For Stark, it's actually a very drastic change. Stark has a worst bowling average against any country, against India over any country. He has bowling average against India is 34, whereas overall bowling average is 22. So it's pretty bad for him there. But having said that, in Australia, Stark is a different beast. Against India, he averages 16 in Australia. So that shows that at home, he's a lion and he can be really dangerous. And as Karan rightly pointed out, that will be a key battle on how or who wins the battle between Shikhar Dhawan and Mitchell Stark. So that's pretty much it, I think, from our side here. Like to all our viewers here. So if you do have something to add on to, then please do mention what you would like to add on to and what it is in the comment section. And as usual, please do like, share, and subscribe the video. And until next time, stay safe and goodbye.